Good morning. I'd like to call a regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. It's Monday, November 17th, 2014. It is now 8:30 a.m. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Selectman Balistraci to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Cole. We have an item to add to the agenda. Make that 9.2. It's a request for a sign. Do I have a motion to add?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. So we'll add 9.2 to the agenda. Okay, item 2, public forum, limited to 3 minutes on any agenda item. Anyone wishing to address the board? Yes, sir, would you please come? State your name and address, please.
Bill Crane, 151.
Right here, please.
Near the mic.
So we can hear you.
Bill Crane, 151. You have me as Neck Road. My mailing address is Circle Beach Road.
Okay.
We're one of the 11 houses on Circle Beach that pay taxes to here, and everything else says we're from Madison. So, in any case, I appreciate the opportunity to come. I'm a little out of order here in that this is not an agenda topic, but it's one that I sent you a note saying that I'd like to discuss, which is.
Okay, can I just stop you for a minute, Bill? You will have an opportunity at the end of the meeting for any item you want to bring to the board that's not on the agenda.
All right.
Okay, can I ask you this? Okay,
That's more appropriate.
yes, thank you very much. Okay. Anybody wishing to address the board on, I'll repeat, any agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move along. Item 3, approval of the minutes. 3.1, approval of the minutes for November 3rd, 2014, which was a regular meeting. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and second. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? I don't hear any. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is made and seconded and approved. Thank you. Item 4, Finance Director Sheila Villano received monthly report from the Finance Director. Good morning, Sheila.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay. You want to start off as usual?
Oh, why not? Okay, we have revenue as of October 31st. Looks good. We've collected 54.1% of our revenue budget. Last year, same time, 52.2%. All the departments look strong. Don't go by Board of Selectmen. There was a one-time small little charge in there, or collection there that skewed the percentage received, but the number was so little, it doesn't really matter. It was hundreds of dollars. Tax collections are greater than they were last year, 54.5 versus 53.1. Some of the departments at Town Hall South, you're seeing the impact of DDR's activities for Guilford Commons as far as permits go. Health Department, they're 77% versus 39.7% last year. Those are the test pits that they do. So that's what's happening with engineering as well, and building permits. Obviously, they are way ahead of last year. 49.9%. Well, not way, but still 49.9 versus 43.7. So overall, we are in good shape with revenue. Questions?
Any questions on revenue? Move to expenses.
Move to expenses. Okay. Last year at this time, we were at 46.3, and this year we're at 46.2. So pretty much exactly where we were last year at the same time, which is good because last year we did have a good year as far as expenditure savings. There was a question that the first selectman brought to my attention about public works, and we did make a correction there. There was some, an outside job, a road job that was charged to the general fund, and it should have been charged to a capital project account, and that correction was made. Other than that, there is really nothing unusual here that's any different than last month or last year. Everything looks like it's right on track.
Sheila, one thing I didn't bring to your attention, but I did spot, was on the buildings, the part-time salaries, that an over expenditure of $24,000, that eventually will get charged to the Guilford High School Building Committee.
It does, and
Okay.
that's not something that we do every month.
It's done on a quarterly basis?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on expenses?
Okay. So we could take a look at medical. Now, last month I tried to reformat this report to give you more information. The problem is that if I don't get the information from Anthem, I can't give it to you. And so, as of this morning, we don't have the catastrophic claims information from Anthem. So we don't know where we are with that, possibly for tonight for Board of Finance, because it usually comes before, you know, like the day of the Board of Finance or the day before, but I don't know why we don't have it yet. But anyway, we do have the claims number, and the claims did go up for November. Last month they were $1,030,000, and this month they went up to $1,216,000. So the shaded area is the annualized average, which is putting us at a projected loss for the year. But it's still early. We'll just keep an eye on it. What happens is as the large claims hit the stop loss, we stop incurring those claims. So hopefully that will result in the claims sort of tailing off a little bit for us. But we have yet to see the catastrophic report yet, so.
But all of these claims were paid from our account, and none yet have been over the stop loss.
Yeah, there was one last month that was over the stop loss.
Okay. But
So-
none in this month here.
I don't know because I don't have the information from
Okay.
Anthem
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll have it today, or if not, we will get it from Anthem. We'll call because it's important.
Okay.
Sheila, where is the stop loss premium accounted for? Is that in any of these numbers, or is
Yes,
that?
it's in the retention and stop loss fee column, which would be the column to the right of claims, where you see the orange
Okay,
shading.
okay. And so you spread it out over 12 months?
Because that's how we pay it, yes.
Okay.
And the retention is included with, so the $1 million obviously is retention plus stop loss.
Would you be able to email us that information if you get it later on
Absolutely.
today?
Yes.
Especially if there's any big changes.
Okay, yeah. I'm almost going to assume that there weren't many that reached the stop loss yet because the claims are higher than last month.
Okay, to assume.
Yeah.
Just let
Yes,
us know.
I know, I know. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more. But if we have a couple of contracts, or at least one contract, that has reached the stop loss in the prior month,
Yes,
any additional
You won't.
claims
will not be here.
will not be here.
Right, because
Okay.
this is a cash basis report. It reflects the debits that Anthem, or like our account is charged every day.
Mhm.
And they don't take the money from us because they get it from the insurance company.
Okay, will we see it in any other report?
You will only see it in the report that I give you from Anthem on the catastrophic claims. And I will show it here. This is what I'm trying to show you here, at least put it here so you could see what we've saved.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yes.
Okay, we will see it, though.
It'll be in the other column
Okay.
here, it won't be in the
Okay.
claims,
Good.
yeah.
Good.
So last month, the claims greater than the stop loss was 403,000.
So that's what Charles is
Yes,
asking for?
yes.
Okay. Anything else on medical? Okay.
So I emailed to you a high school building report, is a summary report that the Board of Finance has been asking for quite some time, and it's still not exactly the way we want to see it. I'm still working with the subcommittee of the High School Building Committee, the Finance Subcommittee, and Morganti, our owner's agent, to kind of work out the kinks here. And one of the things that this report does not include are commitments or encumbrances, because the building committee, they're accounting for commitments a little bit differently than we do here. They're not part of Munis at this point. Needless to say, there are certainly encumbrances and contracts for the high school. So you will have that number at some point within the next month, I think it's safe to say. But at least for now, you can get a feel for where we are as far as expenditures on the project. The report's broken down. The top part is the construction manager's portion and their guaranteed maximum price, and the bottom part is the town's portion, which includes the FF&E and other items that are not the responsibility of O&G Fusco. So that's basically a quick, brief summary of the report.
Will we be getting these summaries at each meeting now?
Yeah, I think that would be probably what you would want at this stage. So yes, and at some point you may see a line item detail, I don't know, but there's a lot of shifting within those line items, so I don't want it to be too confusing for any of us. So at this point, I think the best way is to stick to the major categories.
Okay.
Okay,
Is there anything else?
that's all I have.
Any questions, comments from the board? Okay, thank you, Shelley.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, item 5, Board of Education Director of Operations and Facilities, Cliff Gurnham. 5.1, pursuant to Article 10 of the Town Purchasing Policy, request approval of change order totaling $30,750 for Adams Middle School in bid 29-1314, classroom renovation, windows and door replacement, and security upgrades at Adams. Original bid awarded total was $2,203,685. Good morning, Cliff. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Joe, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can I go back to one question you probably know the answer to? On the fuel bid,
Yeah.
how much, that was a relatively good bid, how much was that below the budgeted, what we had budgeted, do you know?
What we had budgeted?
Yeah.
We haven't budgeted yet for the 2015 year.
Okay, so that's all for 2015?
That's correct.
That's fiscal 2015?
That's correct.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All set?
Yep.
Good, okay.
Thanks for having me.
But, excuse me, that's what the budget will be.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
okay,
All right.
I thought it was a calendar bid,
No,
I misunderstood that.
Sorry, Cliff, go ahead.
No problem.
Now we're ready.
Now you're ready.
Now we're ready.
So we're looking to have change order number 4 approved by the Board of Selectmen. The change order 4 encompasses 7 change order proposals. Most of this work has been completed over the last month or so. Out of those 7, we had one that was a code compliant issue that we came across in the field. So we had to make an alteration to accommodate and make it code compliant. We had another approximately 4 change order proposals that were just unforeseen items, again, that we found in the field that we didn't have drawings on, whether it was, for example, an old pipe underneath the building that we had to kind of excavate and make the appropriate corrections to, things of that nature that you can't see at face value when you're doing the construction. So there was 4 of those, and then we had 2 additional change order proposals that we are requesting, and those came out of, once we moved into the space, we realized we needed a couple more outlets or data drops based upon the use of the space, slight change configurations, things of that nature. So whether it was by the principal or by staff, so we reevaluated and a couple change proposals came out of that. So we're asking to have this approved for $30,750. And we do still have a contingency of about $100,000 for the project.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion just made? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's approved. Thank you. Hey, Cliff, thank you very much. Item 6, Guilford High School Building Committee, 6.1, discuss and take possible action on award of bid 4-1415, Guilford High School Furniture and Fixtures and Equipment.
Hi.
Hi, who do we have representing the building committee?
I guess I'm representing, we have two building
I
committee
see
members
Bill
here.
here, and I see Scott in the background there. Hi, Scott. Don't be hiding. And you are,
I'm
ma'am?
Jeanette O'Connell with Tyson.
Oh, you're Jeanette. Hi, nice to meet
I
you.
know, I see your name everywhere.
I see yours a lot, too.
You have to put a face to it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I have,
You're from Tyson Kim.
Tyson Kim,
Okay,
right,
good.
yeah. So, I can pass these out. The first sheet is, what we had presented.
We do have that material.
You have it all,
Yeah.
okay, great, okay.
Anyone wants some color, they're welcome to it.
We like them shaded.
Okay. So basically, we have done really well. The initial budget was 2.4 roughly, and it came in at 1.875 roughly. And so that was wonderful. And it was all bid out by categories, and out of the 24 vendors that bid and the 23 categories, there's only one item that wasn't bid on, so that was a good success. We are seeking to gain approval to award the bids to the bidders that are listed here. We did a lump sum per bidder. And the only two items that are still pending is there's a language lab that we had put aside $50,000 for, and a hydraulic shear. And no one bid on the hydraulic shear, and that's what we're working on now to see what we can do to make that happen for the school. And as far as the language lab, there were two bidders. One bid as specified, and the other one bid something that wasn't an equal. It was software. However, the school would like to have a demonstration of the software by both vendors, because that may be a better way for them to go. So we're still exploring that. So we will be coming back at a later date to approach these two items.
So you're asking for the approval of the 1.7?
Yes. Yep.
Then I'll move that we award bid number 4-1415, Guilford High School Furniture, Fixtures, and Equipment in the amount of $1.79968905 to the respective vendors in each category.
Second. I have a couple of questions. I'm a little confused,
Okay.
and that's normal. We're awarding, the motion is for the 1.8, but
Oh,
you're...
7.9.
But he's
Yeah, but you
rounding.
made a motion for 1.8, but I see 1.799, so what are we really awarding?
Right now, it's the 1.799.
Okay, so I think we have to
Oh, all
amend the
right,
motion,
yeah,
okay?
The 1.875 is what we had estimated with those two other items.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
why. that's
I'm
why-
sorry, I meant the
okay.
1.79.
Would you
I
withdraw
thought you
your
were just
motion?
rounding it
Yeah,
up.
I'll amend it to
Okay.
1.79.
Okay. Do you have that, Trace? Okay, and call you second
Yeah.
then. Okay, all right, so now, all right, for discussion purposes, does the building committee, I see some rep, do they wish to comment on this at all? No?
I think they did a great job.
Okay, so you're all okay with that then?
Yep.
Okay. Pam, can we do this as one motion for all these vendors?
Yes, it would just say pursuant to the attached sheet. whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
which is now totally the correct number of $1,799,689.05.
Yep, we'll
Okay.
send out award letters and guest letters.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion on the motion?
Great.
Then I'll
Thank you
call
very
for a
much.
vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Always like on the budget. Sounds good, right?
Yeah, good work.
Yeah.
Item 7, Town Engineer Jim Portley. You're gonna keep the ball rolling on the budget, James?
Excuse me?
You're gonna keep it going?
Keep it going.
All right. Actually, there's no money to be spent.
No, you're giving money back.
Yeah. There we go. I don't wanna hear
Dan Trine will be
that.
happy to hear it.
7.1, consider and take possible action to accept Blue Hills Drive extension as a town road and release road bond.
Blue Hills Road was approved back in 2009. We set a road bond of $150,000. That's all right. And I was thinking, because of the sluggish economy, there really hasn't been much going on up there. But back in 2013, it was paved, everything was finished up. The catch basins have been cleaned. So it's time to, and it's gone through a winter, so there's no real reason to put any maintenance bond. The pavement's been there for quite a while. I would recommend the Board of Selectmen accept Blue Hills Drive extension as shown in the as-built, and I have the as-built here, dated 2/1/214 as a town road, and is recommended the Board of Selectmen vote to release the road bond.
So moved.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question
Go
before
right
he
ahead.
leaves?
Oh, sure.
Are all the road bonds, are they maintained in your office or are they maintained in finance?
They're in our office. Yeah. You want some?
Sure.
Okay, I'll just keep standing. Okay, thank you. Item 8, in-house counsel / purchasing manager Pam Millman. Start with
Joining us? And- Thanks.
bringing your friends with you?
I am.
Okay.
Got some friends today.
8.1, consider and take possible action to waive bidding and architect form the on-call bid list and accept a proposal from Russell Campaign for kiosk project for a fixed fee of $4,955 in accordance with the Department of Economic and Community Development Urban Action Grant Program. Morning, Russ. Hi. Morning. Morning.
So, in these 4 points, we're trying to procedurally get ourselves in line with respect to the grant. And as you know, it's the urban grant that we were awarded for the Covenant project and now the kiosk that's going to be built. So the first 8.1 is instead of hiring from our on-call bid list, the request is to consider Russ's proposal, which you have a copy of, for a fixed fee of the amount $4,955. As you are well aware, he's done a lot of volunteer work on this project. He knows the project up and down, and there's a lot of argument to say that we should hire him.
Okay, so,
Do you need a motion for that?
Yes. yeah,
Yes.
and that is to waive the bidding. And you want us to hire him in one motion?
Yes,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Call.
For the sum of $4,955.
Great.
Yes.
What's our procedure, though, when waiving? Do we have a policy or procedure in waiving bidding?
This is it.
This is it. We come
No,
here.
but I mean, the reasoning, it just,
You have discretion,
Okay.
sole source, emergency,
right.
and also
Kind
discretion.
Right.
And in this case, technically, it would have been, obtaining estimates from the on-call list, so
Right.
we're not doing that. That's what you're waiving.
I'll second Carl's. You made
Well,
it.
Carl, you make the motion.
Yeah, I made the
Okay.
motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Gary?
I think you should point out that this is about 50% of the estimate. This is at a substantial discount of the estimate of the architect's fees as well.
I'm sure it is.
Well, that's
According to the-
Oh, I see.
according to the sheet that was provided to us.
All right, very good.
So in
No, I think
in
it's a
Russ's
great
defense
deal.
and our defense.
It's a great deal, yes, no.
It wasn't his full fee, it was,
Such a bargain.
Such a deal.
There you go.
so.
Any further comments?
We don't know what anybody else would have charged,
Right.
right? Okay.
Any further comments on the motion? Any further discussion? Okay. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous, okay. Thank you. 8.2, consider and take possible action to waive the bidding for the polishing of the Covenant Stone, engraving of the Covenant Stone, and the use of the crane for the Covenant project, and award as follows. $15,300 to Darrell Pettit LLC for sculpturing and polishing, $5,200 to Shelley Brothers Monuments for engraving, and $3,857.42 to Marino Crane Service Corp.
So, Carl, solicited these vendors for this project and worked closely with them. And this is just documenting what, what the grant will go to pay off these amounts. So you have the quotes or invoices in your packet. And so we're asking you to kind of retrospectively award these vendors this work.
I would move we approve the 3 invoices as listed in the agenda for payment under the Community Development and Urban Grant Program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Yep.
I'm sorry.
Okay. 8.3, to authorize the first selectman to execute all closing documents related to the Covenant and Kiosk DECD Urban Grant. You might want to explain this because we already approved the grant.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and this is just, there's several documents that the first selectman has to sign with respect to the closing of this. One thing just I wanted to clarify is that technically the grant is to the town, and so therefore the kiosk will technically be, the title to the kiosk, the ownership of the kiosk is going to be the town's. But, based on prior discussions with the board, the concept will be that the town will enter into a very simple maintenance agreement with the GPA for a couple of years, whatever period of time that you all agree to. So the GPA has agreed that they will maintain it for a while and they will staff it. So I'll prepare at a later date, that when we're further along, when we've actually have the thing built, a simple maintenance agreement to document that. And then at some later stage, the town, as discussed in prior meetings, will take over the maintenance part of it. That's really all I have to say on the general statement.
And the amount of the DECD grant?
85?
85,000. Yeah.
But it also includes the covenant.
Right, that was all bundled
Right.
Right.
in one.
And the 5,000 of that goes back to the state to pay for their lawyer. I
For their
love
lawyer,
that. I mean,
yeah.
all right, we need a motion to authorize the first selectman to execute the closing
So
documents.
moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous, and we have one more piece of business on this grant. 8.4, consider and take possible action to waive the bidding for the construction of the kiosk and authorize Russell Campaign to solicit at least 3 written estimates for such work as authorized by the DECD Urban Grant bidding guidelines for projects which cost less than $100,000.
So this one, it is anticipated, based on Russ's estimates, that the cost will exceed our bidding threshold of $25,000 for the kiosk. However, the DECD has its own guidelines, and the state guidelines are, if the cost is less than $100,000, then the state would accept 3 written estimates. And in fact, what will happen is Russ, and that's part of his scope of work, he will work with he will take the estimates up to DECD, they will review them together, and the DECD gets to be involved pretty much every step of the way. So the question, what you're being asked to do is to waive going out to bid and the expense of that.
Well, public bidding, so advertising and soliciting an open bid process as opposed to a
Right.
solicited bid process.
So you're still soliciting bids, you're just doing it.
Yeah,
There's
I like
three-
to say
three-
written estimates versus the
Right,
actual
it's still a
sealed
bid.
bid.
Right.
So, and, you know, also it will be a more cost-effective way of doing it from Russ's point of view, because of all the steps that the DECD require him to do. So that is what is before you.
So what happens, Russ, if they don't come in within what the cost of the grant is, then?
Well, the GPA is already putting forward
Okay.
additional monies to make
Okay.
up the difference on that. There's other items that are outside. But from my sort of experience on something of this scale, for this scale and complexity, it's one thing to go out to bid for furniture for $25,000, but it's
Right.
another thing to go out for actually
Right.
multiple subcontracts being managed and such in an open bid process. I just feel that that's not going to attract the contractors that are going to supply the best, most cost-effective levels. And so we're meeting the state requirements for the grant, because it's under $100,000, for me to actively solicit bids from 3 or more bidders and actually submit them, versus actually putting it in the paper,
Oh,
opening
no, I
it
don't have a
up.
problem with that. I meant to
Oh.
say that it's likely that they'll come within the money that's been allocated, I guess is the point.
I do hope so. I will say that there's a performance bond that's required by the state requirements, which is going to potentially take out of play a couple of the bidders, as we've learned. And there's some other sort of more onerous aspects to this that are probably, I feel, going to increase from my estimate the cost rather than decrease, just because of the nature of the process, and who's going to be interested on such a small project of putting
Right.
this in. In other words, I got my estimates from contractors, but I had sort of, I think they were doing it because of the GPA and because of something as a donation to the town. And I have a feeling that this process is going to cause us to be a little bit more formal in the way that it's approached, which will most likely, they'll treat it more as a job.
By
as
the
a
process,
bid
you're talking about the DEC.
The DECD's requirements. There's a bid bond and we'll meet your requirements of 10%. The bid bond requirement for the DECD is 5%, but that's a check that's given as part of the bid process, so they perform on the bid, and then there's a performance bond at 100% of the value of the
If
project.
when you solicit bids, the process discourages enough contractors and you don't have, is it required to have 3 or more before you go up there?
I think it is required, but again, if I send and have documentation of soliciting bids from, 8 or 9 contractors, and I go up there and
The
say,
requirement is to solicit, not necessarily to go up there with 3?
it says I should go up there with 3.
He's gonna solicit,
So,
and
you
yeah,
just have to
and he'll be,
solicit
we
10 then,
we
yeah.
have a contact also.
Yes.
And one thought I had was, we could ask for bids based on requiring the bond, and and what they would charge if we didn't require the bond, so that when he goes up to the state, he could say, by your requirement of this
It
bond,
sounds like you can have those
this
kinds of
cost our
conversations.
town this much more.
Just
It
be
would be a
careful
nice
of
little evidence of that.
Well, and I will have, if they say we need 1 more, I will have to bang the doors down to get somebody else to put in a bid if I only receive 2 back.
just
But I
wanna-
think I can
wanna
leverage.
Make sure we don't have discussions about, we've only got 2, so
I know.
give me a high one,
I know.
just so we have 3.
Right.
Right.
No,
We don't
But-
wanna have those
your
conversations.
your threshold requirement for the performance bond is $100,000, and so we'll be under your requirement as a local town government, but I think it's $50,000 is the threshold for the grant. So that, again, that'll be the topic of discussion, and I think that's, my fear was I would have a harder time getting contractors to bid with the performance bond. So if I can ask some of the contractors to supply bids without a performance bond, it's just the way a performance bond works is that if you don't have a history on a performance bond, you pay 100% of that bond down for the length of the project. Basically, you have to put 100% collateral up. Whereas if a larger company has a relationship with a bonding company, they're down to maybe 15% collateral on their bond. And so it's a much more onerous undertaking for a smaller contractor, and this project
I'm
is a
sure
small
you've
contract.
looked into it, but is there any way the GPA and/or the town could act as, the bond guarantor or something like that? I mean, to avoid a situation just like you said, I mean, say you have a fairly
of-
new contractor that doesn't have the track record.
Right.
And would get hit with the 100%.
Well, what is interesting
Nothing
about
that we want, that's just complicated.
wouldn't want to.
what is interesting is that if this grant was given directly to the GPA, the threshold actually for the performance bond moves to $100,000. So it's only because it's being given to a municipality that the $50,000. So I think we have a very, I mean, we've spoken, I think looking at the value and potentially the cost difference of with or without a bond and the selection of contractors, I have a feeling we can make a pretty compelling argument. And what we will do is then hold a retainage against payment, and that is a method of holding the contractor to perform.
So in effect, Russ will go up there with hopefully, he'll have the, for one example of a vendor that it would cost this with the bond, it'll cost that without the bond. And then Russ can go up there to DECD and potentially ask for some kind of waiver on that,
And-
if the savings
Right.
seems.
And there's a chance, I mean, there are several bidders that I have in mind that I've spoken to that have a bond in place, and this wouldn't be a big undertaking, but the two people that I had been talking with previously, it may be a bigger hurdle for them.
So, Russ, I just wanted to, so what I'm saying is you're confident that's gonna come, the bidding, the ultimate bid, the price is gonna come within what's allocated within the grant and what GPA is willing to submit?
That is, yes, I hope, yes. You never can tell, but as I said, I have bidding outside of the additional procedures that are necessary that actually are meeting. That's how the budget was generated, from local contractors
Okay.
giving me actual prices of what it would take to build this. So we have hard numbers
That's what I
associated
mean,
with it.
okay.
It's just that what we're gonna see now is an overlay of the added complexity associated with the procedures that now the grant is requiring. And so that's within a margin of error, I would hope, that would be able to be handled by the GPA's additional money.
Okay.
And a little bit of extra money associated with the Covenant Stone. Because the $85,000, there's $25,000, that's the $5,000 for the lawyer.
And didn't you told me then Carl also had a fundraising of
Oh, I'm
$6,000,
not
which
sure.
will also
Okay.
apply. So
Okay.
Yeah, we did fundraising before we
Okay.
Before we
grant.
we were told we had the bond.
So that will
Fantastic.
be applied, yeah, we have
And that
that
will
as
be
well.
applied. So that extra additional money hopefully will handle the, because our budget was working off the $60,000 that we originally asked for. 25 was going to the Covenant Stone. So if that fundraising is offsetting some of the monies there, we may have another $5,000 or $10,000 associated with the kiosk
Okay.
spend. And we want to spend all of that money. We're set up to spend all of the grant money.
Right,
Is the bond for the 50,000 threshold for the entire project, or is it per contractor? If you have multiple contractors for 20, just to throw out numbers, would they each have to have a bond, or is it for the,
No, the general contractor would be the bonded contractor.
but if, okay.
Oh,
So
if
the-
each,
So
That,
will-
that creates, we've had a similar situation where in another project, an architect tried to split it up to numerous bids, but then you add the additional burden of now someone has to be the overseer and the coordinator. And Russ and I talked about that.
Okay,
And I agree with his approach.
okay.
Okay, is there any further discussion on the motion? Call for a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Good luck.
Thank you, Russ.
Russ.
Thank you, Pam.
A lot of trips, sounds like a lot of trips to Hartford.
I hope not.
Just want to recognize that Shirley Girioni from the GPA was also here, so thank you, Shirley. Thank you. Okay. Item 9, we've got 9.1 and now 9.2, request for the use of town property. Gary, we have two.
I would move that we approve the 2 signs as requested in the agenda.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 2 pieces of correspondence, 10.1, building officials monthly report, and 10.2, the Public Works Department monthly report in your packet. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll move along. Committee reports, any reports from the committees? Anybody wish
I
to?
just
Carl?
would like to report that the photocopies that we ordered for the Guilford Covenant and the land agreement with the natives has finally arrived.
Oh,
And
good.
So I'll be,
Where are they?
well, I have them at home, but I'm gonna
Okay.
frame one set for the town hall so that we can have it on display someplace.
Great. That's good news. Okay, anything else? Okay, any old business?
Joe, just to ask, I know Tracy sent out a letter. How are we doing on the annual report accumulation of data?
I think we're all done with the 2011, 2012,
I'm just waiting on Board of Ed.
and yeah, Board of Ed, which I'm gonna have to contact them today and see where they are with that. Other than
Good.
that, we should be fine.
Good.
And barring any other unforeseen circumstances, because we never know what happens, we'll get them out this week. Okay?
Great.
Now that Charlie's back, if we need his assistance, he'll put them together. New business, a couple of dates I want to bring to everybody's attention, and particularly the board. This week, tomorrow, 11/18, Planning and Zoning is conducting the public hearing regarding the coastal resilience plan. All right, that's tomorrow, I believe it's 7:30. And this week, again, in this room on Thursday, the 20th, 8:30 a.m., the board is conducting a public hearing regarding the 5-year capital plan. This is where department heads will, and boards and commissions will present their rolling 5-year capital plan. And tentatively, next week, again in this room, 11/24, which is Monday, we have scheduled, again, I underline tentatively, another selectmen's meeting. Most likely will be executive session, pending ratification of labor contracts, which you've all been notified by Tracy to keep your calendars open. We'll confirm that Thursday morning. Okay? Thank you. That's all I have on new business. Public forum. Limited to 3 minutes on any item. Okay. Thank you for waiting, sir. Appreciate it. Again, one more time, your name and address. Okay?
Bill Crane,
Bill Craig.
C-R-A-I-N,
Okay. Just for the record, thank you.
151 Neck Road. I'll just pass, you can pass those around. I think we all understand that the Board of Assessment Appeals is sort of a critical link between the citizens of the town of Guilford and the city itself, the town itself. And so our suggestion and recommendation to improve that process is that when the Board of Assessment Appeals denies an appeal, to give a brief explanation or rationale for why that denial took place. And sort of the general rationale is that I think we all are aware that real estate taxes are a fairly significant part of the household budget, and also that the objective of all the appraisal process is fairness for all the Guilford residents. And as I mentioned, the Board of Assessment Appeals is a critical link here when there are questions, and it's actually comforting to be going in front of your fellow citizens when you're making your case. The current process, however, ends if you're denied with an X in a box. That's it. Nothing else. And yet we know that each case is pretty carefully discussed before that X goes in there. And what our suggestion is it would be a powerful improvement if there were a very brief explanation that said this is the reason why we've denied your approval. We think Guilford residents deserve this transparency, and then closure would be complete rather than walking out saying, well, why? You know, why did that happen? Now, the second page, obviously, we had a personal situation that triggered this, and this is really very, very simple. The issue is very simple. This is a map of our street. This is Neck Road, comes down here. Over here is Grass Island, and these are the 4 houses on the north side. These are the houses on the waterfront. We're right here, and yet we have been historically appraised at a higher rate than all the other neighbors. And so back in 2011, We came in and we said, you know, is this right? Board of Appeals said, no, it's not, so they moved us down to the neighbors. Then the hurricane, the Irene came in, and for some reason, we got bumped back up, and the card said storm damage repaired, and we thought that was a little incredible, that, you know, sort of difficult to repair land. We went back to the Board of Appeals, and they said, no, you know, you should be the same as your neighbors. And then with the equality appraisal situation came in, lo and behold, there was a difference again. We went to the Board of Appeals, basically said, you know, twice you've said we're the same, this time they didn't. And so, and I won't go through the rest of this, but it would have been very helpful to us if we knew exactly why the situation had changed. And I just think it would be a very significant improvement in the Board of Assessment Appeals process if, when they denied, they simply said, you know, this is a summary of our conversations. And I actually requested a summary of their minutes, and they really said, well, there are none. So obviously the conversations are not jotted down like you're jotted down here. So that's the purpose of this. Is I think it would be appropriate if the Board of Selectmen said to the Board of Assessment Appeals, you know, your process would be a lot better if you explained briefly, you know, we're not looking for 3-page documentation, we're just saying here's the bullet points as to why. So that's basically, that's my 3 minutes, and would appreciate your consideration of that. And I'll make one other comment, which I'll let you study at your leisure, but our experience with equality as an organization, an appraisal organization, was very disappointing. From early contact, trying to understand what their process was, through the hearing itself. And so what I'd like to do, I'm gonna leave with each of you. You can read it at your leisure or not. But there's in our explanation that we gave to the Board of Appeals, there was also a summary of the conversations we had with the equality people. And I think you'll find it to be, you know, I think you'll ask the question, why did we go with this organization? And I think it's a worthwhile question. So I'll just leave these, that's all I know. I'm over
Yeah.
It's all right.
I can tell the body language,
There's
says
nobody
3 minutes
waiting,
is
so-
over, you know, so.
No, you can keep going, that's all right.
No, that's,
You're the last item.
There's nobody behind you, so.
okay. So that's what I'm doing. This is actually what we brought into the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Okay.
And it explains in some detail the equality interchange that we had. And I didn't mention, there was a couple of comments in that session by our reviewer that were toxic enough that I didn't even put it in here, and so if anybody's interested, you know, after you read this over and like to have any further discussion, obviously I'd be happy to.
When you say reviewer, a member of the BOA or a member of Equality?
No, this was equality. It was, you know, the process was you went through, you got the information from equality, then you had a chance to go in front of them.
And then BOA?
And then, yeah, and BOA. And I think, I mean, I was frankly amazed at the lack of professionalism of equality. And as you'll read in there, including getting a call the day before the hearing saying that, well, we made a mistake on Circle Beach, and so we're going to do some things differently. And I said, well, you know, does that include having us be at the same value of our neighbors? And he said, well, I'm not at liberty to tell you that. And so then when we got there, the numbers were totally different, which you'll see in there. I mean, it was just, you know, you sort of shake your head. And frankly, I told my wife, I said, well, you know, that's okay, because we got the Board of Assessment Appeals, and this is exactly the same issue, so, you know, we should be in reasonably good shape to go in. And so we were baffled when 2 Board of Assessment Appeals said, yes, you're right, and then this one said no.
I was gonna say, so the 2 times before, the only thing I was gonna say, I don't do tax appeals, so legally I don't know, but there may be a legal reason why they can't give a description. So we
Yeah,
could
but
ask counsel of that.
Well,
But then why couldn't they explain that?
But I don't know, Carl, like, there might be legally like that, they don't do
Well, I
written
can
opinions
appreciate
or-
that maybe they can't give them the specific reasons,
Yeah.
but they should be able to cite the reasons they can't. From a town's perspective, I think a citizen.
No, I agree,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying, like, did you ask them and they never responded, or?
Oh, no,
you
I mean,
never-
all you get, you just get a,
All right, so you didn't go
the
back and
So
ask
you didn't go
them?
back and ask for the reason?
oh, yes, no, I came to the town hall and said, may I please have copies of the minutes of the meeting as a rationale as to
Right,
why
but
this
you
was.
never specifically asked the chairman, can I understand why, at this point you didn't, or the assessor's office?
No, I thought by requesting the minutes of that Board of
Yeah.
Appeals session, that would tell me
Yeah.
what it was.
And when it did not, did you ask them for,
No, I mean, that's why I'm here.
Here,
so
yeah.
maybe that's the first step.
All right.
Right, there may be the assessor can provide the answer. I'm just saying, because it's a legal process, it's like you're going to court, and
Right.
there may be legal precedents or reasons why they don't take
I mean, I
minutes
would-
or give an opinion.
I would
I'm
be
not-
amazed and appalled if, if a citizen doesn't have the ability to
Right.
find out, well, why did,
Right,
why
I'm
do
not
you really
disagreeing,
do
I'm
this?
just
Yeah.
saying I don't
No, I
do.
understand.
Yeah, that would be the first question you'd have to have
Can I
answered.
ask one question? Does your property, you're on the north side of Neck Road, doesn't your property abut the river?
no, Grass Island.
Oh, okay.
In other words, we're one of the few people when we say we're the last house on the right and you can't miss
I mean,
it,
it just
you
seemed
really
to me
can't miss it,
it
because
is-
otherwise
yeah.
you're in Grass Island, yeah. And frankly,
Riverfront is maybe not quite as valuable as,
Well, it's quite a ways north to the river.
go by
Right.
the ramp.
and when you see the
Yeah.
pictures, of like when Sandy came in, and it came from that direction, I mean, we're a mess. We lost our deck twice.
I went to use the boat ramp a few weeks ago, and I couldn't even get to the boat ramp.
Well, yeah,
High
exactly.
tide.
So, so for somebody to say, well, your property is 30% more valuable than your next door neighbor who was less vulnerable and had less damage, we sort of say, that doesn't
Yeah.
make a lot of sense. And we,
Well, we'll look into the process for you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you, Mr. Crane. I see no one else wishing to address the board. Jack, you want? All right. No further business. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Joe, what was the second date?